Hello everybody, my name is Fickelstein, reporting from NPR News Now, and in recent news we heard about the recent COVID lockdowns in China that are impeding on their freedom, so their economy is now crashing and collapsing to the floor. China's gonna fall apart any day now, trust me brother, they're gonna collapse any day. There's mass protests, there's wide protests, their people are groveling for regime change. It's a rogue terror state ripe for regime change, and their people are groveling at the feet. They just want us to come in. They want our beautiful, powerful white military to come in and bomb everybody and set them free, set millions and millions of Chinese people free, because clearly that is the purpose of these protests. So it is forcing China to embrace free market laissez-faire policies, embracing more market-oriented capitalist policies, because the people do not like the boot of dictatorship anymore. They do not like the boot of dictatorship anymore. Hello everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood fellow traveler here, making a low-effort car video for you guys. Just driving around and about to get myself some wine before the clock strikes 1 in the morning and I'm no longer able to legally purchase alcohol. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today, I am here to talk about the potential strike that the railroad workers and the unions are about to do. A strike which at this point, seeing as that they've got nothing left to lose, they may as fucking well. Because the two bills that ended up getting floated in Congress, the deal that was going to give them half of what they were demanding, by the way, they were demanding 14 paid sick days leave by law, and the bill was giving them half of that, so they were basically getting pissed on while being told it was rain. And go figure, that got axed in Congress. But another bill got floated at the exact same time, which basically criminalized their right to strike. It basically made it so that they could no longer legally strike. They weren't allowed to. They just had to go to work. They just had to suck it up. And yeah, the most pathetic part of all this is that on Biden's website, it still fucking says that he's gonna fight to give workers, just on his campaign platform, by itself, he was going to fight to make sure that workers got 7 paid days off per year. So, in the face of this, in the face of them basically reneging on the 7-day deal, which would have costed these railway companies nothing, by the way. It would have costed them nothing to do. In the face of the fact that, countries all over the planet have paid sick days leave per law. In lieu of the fact that paid time off per law is everywhere, like every other country on the planet has some degree of paid time off by law, mandatory. America is the exception to this rule. For whatever reason, we're the only country that doesn't have paid time off by law, so we get fucked in that respect. I'll be right back. Yeah, so as I was saying, the railway workers are probably the most essential link in the entire supply chain, because without them, the vast majority of the goods that we depend upon on a daily basis do not get moved around. Yes, while the truckers haul large amounts of product into the cities on a routine basis, it's the railways from which a lot of those goods and a lot of that product originates. So they are the most important link in the chain, so to speak. So, considering we've got the deadly pandemic, the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, which Biden during midterms basically pretended he ignored it. Everyone talks about how Trump ignored the virus and ended up getting as bad as it did. Biden ignored the virus, and look where it is now. The coronavirus is as bad as it's ever been. People are just walking around acting like it's not even an issue. It's just the flu, right? People are just walking around pretending it's the flu. Well, these guys were essential workers during the pandemic and right now. And the fact that they can't even get paid sick leave when they fucking need it, it's fucking pathetic. The richest country on earth, and we can't even get paid sick time off by law. Fucking pathetic as shit, dude. This is, and I speak about this because this is an issue that affects me on a very personal level. Because I got sick with the coronavirus a couple months ago while I was still a temp, and I wasn't able to get any PTO. I tried to file for unemployment. I tried to get money out of the temp service. I tried to get money from WFS at the airport that I work at, and they didn't give me shit. And yeah, so I got fucked. Yeah, I got to stay home for a week. I got a week vacation, but I didn't get paid for it. I didn't get compensated for the time I was off, and it ended up derailing me and setting me back like a whole week in my bills. And it just goes to show, like, despite the fact that vast majority of Americans agree with paid sick leave by law, they agree with raising wages, they agree with all these great policies, and Biden's not doing shit. He's not. Instead, it's these fucking politicians, like Joe Manchin, you have like 2 or 3 blue dog Democrats. Everyone else agrees it comes down to 2 votes when it comes to, say, raising the minimum wage. And Biden sees these 2 guys that are in Congress. If only we could get these next 2 votes, we could get a higher minimum wage. These guys are like, and Biden just looks to the rest of us, his hands are in the air. He's like, well, I did the best I could, but, we got 2 Democrats. We're off by just a few votes. Pshaw. Oh, no, that's just a bummer, isn't it? Well, let me tell you the fucking truth about that shit. The Democrats could have the entire House and the Senate, and they still couldn't get minimum wage passed. They would find some excuse to do it. Want to know why? It's the same excuse for why we can't get paid sick leave, and it's the same excuse for why Biden's been a fucking shitty and pathetic president that's walked back on literally all of his key promises. Even the promise where he said he would get us paid sick leave by law. He said he would do that. Just thought I'd throw that out there one more time. It's because Biden, along with the Republicans, along with Kamala Harris, along with Ted Cruz and Pete Buttigieg and all these motherfuckers, they're bankrolled by the fossil fuel industry, the landlords, the mortgage companies, the banks, Wall Street, military-industrial complex. They are bankrolled by the same fucking people. Both are. Republicans and Democrats. So, it is within Biden's deeply vested interest not to get anything done. So that's why they always conjure these lame excuses not to do anything, even though it's only like 1 or 2 Democrats getting in the way. That's why they don't play politics. It's because they don't want to. Because for them to do any pro-labor policy, for them to do anything beneficial for workers, their donors would stop giving them money because they're bankrolled by the billionaires. Billionaires have completely different vested interests, class interests, separate from working people. The more that they can squeeze out of you, the better. And the more we can, of our labor, which they steal from us, that we can take back, the better. Well, if Biden were to help us working people take some of our labor back, i.e. paid sick leave or raising wages, his campaign contributors would get fucking pissed, and they would stop donating, so he wouldn't have money for his next campaign. And given that all these Democrats, they're all career politicians, it would be a career death sentence for them. So rounding all this off, because I have been ranting for quite a bit now, at this point the railroad workers should just fucking strike. They really should. And in my opinion, the truck drivers should join in too. Truck drivers and warehouse workers and Uber delivery folk, everybody in the supply chain just needs to do a solidarity strike. I am absolutely positively 100% down to do my part because I myself am a supply chain worker. We need to do a collective solidarity strike and strike with the railway workers. One last thing I wanted to add before closing this little video is that all we need is a few critical key victories, comrades. All it takes is us banding together and making the conscious, deliberate decision, organizing on our own class interests, saying that we're not going to take it anymore, and demanding that they give us what we're actually worth. That's all it really takes. I mean, look at the passive general strike that took place during COVID. You had wages passively raising, wages passively increasing over the course of it, just because people were all staying on unemployment. For the first time in a long time, Americans got fed up with the bullshit, and they decided, fuck you, I would rather stay on unemployment, and I would rather get paid to sit on my ass than go back to work for pennies. So American workers did exactly that. They stayed on unemployment, and they rode that motherfucker for a long time, and I don't fucking blame them. And so wages went up. For the first time in a while, you actually saw wages start to go up. Now, they aren't keeping pace with inflation, but point is that even though it was completely subconscious, even though it was spontaneous, even though, like, it was by no means an organized action, you saw them have no choice but to passively give in to the workers' demands. Dare to struggle, dare to win. My point is that if we could orchestrate this and we did it right, we could shut this country down and paralyze the supply chain, and there is not a goddamn thing they could do about it. They would be forced to capitulate because they would be literally costed billions of dollars a day. And don't kid yourself, mainstream media is already trying to twist the narrative. The politicians are, corporations are, everyone, when this strike happens, they are all going to try and attempt to twist the narrative and say it is the workers' fault for sticking up for what's right and fighting for their rights. They aren't going to attack it from the angle that it is in fact Wall Street, big corporations, the capitalists that are the ones at fault for fleecing their workers for the longest fucking time without giving anything back. So this is a narrative we need to be wary of moving forward. This is a narrative that we will need to dispel. So, remember, it's not the workers' fault, it's the fucking capitalists' fault. Because they don't want to pay out a measly 14 days of paid sick leave. So, we can go tit for tat. They can't force all of us to go back to work. So, I encourage you all now. I'm certainly getting involved. I just rejoined Cincinnati Socialists, and I just recently got connected. Admittedly, they're Trotskyists, but I'm willing to look past that for now. I'm willing to let that slide if it means building something resembling working class solidarity and a new revolutionary movement, because y'all have to understand, proletarian ideology does not emerge because your favorite streamer won a debate with somebody on the internet. Proletarian ideology emerges as a byproduct of class struggle. Through a series of successes and failures, and through a series of practice, that is how proletarian ideology emerges. So people like me, class-conscious, advanced proletarians, are going to increase in numbers as the year goes on, as time goes on. And this process will only continue as we engage in praxis and we engage in class struggle. And as the times get more difficult and the going gets tough. But we have to be there to educate, and we have to be there to provide guidance and take a leading role in this movement. But needless to say, the conditions and the situations are changing very rapidly. They are changing very fast. In 2020, it was the BLM protests, and it looks like right now we have on our hands the potential for a planet-busting general strike. But the question is, who is going to participate and who is willing to do the difficult, arduous, but necessary work in order to make it happen? That's all I have to say for now. I'll keep you posted. Take it easy, comrades.